All right, welcome to the virtual college exploration for all California students, sponsored by the College2Career Fairs and StriveScan. Thanks for joining us. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. Students, you can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenters at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see you or hear you. This is just one of many different sessions happening, so be sure to check out the full schedule at college2careerfairsconnect.org. This presentation is being recorded and will be available within about a week at the same website, college2careerfairsconnect.org. And with that, I would like to turn it over to our presenter.
Good afternoon or good evening, everybody. My name is Sean Coleman. I'm the Director of Admissions here at Rocky Mountain College in beautiful Billings, Montana. Today, I'll give you an overview of Rocky Mountain College. As you can see, academics, athletics, student life, financial aid, and just general Rocky Mountain College as a whole. So with that, I will go ahead and get started. So again, welcome. We are pretty excited to have everyone. We are a liberal arts school, so we were founded in 1878, which is actually a few years before the state of Montana was actually funded, which is pretty neat. So a lot of historical evidence, a lot of historical buildings still reside here on Rocky Mountain College's campus, and we're pretty proud of that. So a lot of our campus has this old feel to it. Some interesting facts about the buildings. They were actually built by the students in the early 1900s and 1800s for the students here on campus. So it's a campus and a college, so we say built by students for students, which we take a lot of pride in. We're grounded in liberal arts, which means that we're doing a little bit of everything, and we'll have a little short video for you here that'll explain more about that. But it's a diverse learning environment. So typically you're hearing about liberal arts, you hear a little bit about everything, but we do have some technical programs as well. We're an extremely diverse student body, so while we only have slightly over 1,000 students, we do represent about 48 different states and over 20 different countries. So our students come from all walks of life. For example, we have students from here in Montana that are from cities or towns, if you will, that are populations of under 10 people. And then the same respect and same class, we have students that are from areas like Germany where they have over 4 to 6 million people. So a little bit of everything from all walks of life. Myself, I'm from Southern California. I came up here in early 2008, graduated in 2011. Loved everything about it, which is why I'm still here 12 years later. I don't foresee myself leaving anytime soon. I enjoy the lack of traffic, if you will, which is something I really enjoy. We are historically affiliated with 3 different denominations, so Church of Presbyterian, Church of Christ, and Methodist. So students are able to get involved as much or as little as they would like. It's completely up to them. We do not have any requirements for students to be involved in a religious activity or a religious class. So students, like I said, can be as involved or not as involved as they'd like. We are accredited, which means we've had a third party institution come in and basically validate the work that we're doing here. So that way, when you graduate, you know that the work you're getting and the education that you're obtaining has been vetted. So what is liberal arts? So I'll give you guys a little short video here.
Is your video working, Sean?
Yes.
It's not working on our side.
Okay.
You want to try to go ahead and share again?
I'd be happy to. Can you see the screen?
No. All right, you're good to go, I think.
All right, thank you. Well, good. One thing I really like to point out there is a liberal arts education is exactly that. I'm living proof of that. So when I graduated high school, I had a glimpse of what I thought I wanted to do. So I went into mechanical engineering and then thought that's what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And about a half a semester at a large university in San Diego, I realized I did not want to do that. That was not for me. And I ended up moving out here to Montana and pursuing a degree in aviation to become a pilot. So I got my private pilot's license, I got my instrument rating, and then about my junior year, I realized that I didn't want to do that either. I enjoyed being home too much. I enjoyed just having that freedom of not being tied down to a specific place once you're gone and flying. So I am changing my major to aviation management, worked at a bank, worked for UPS managing their airport operations for a while. And I ended up coming back to Rocky Mount College because it ultimately made sense that I enjoyed admissions and working with students and helping them get out of California for one, because I know what that's like. But then also just helping them explore different options. And I think that's what college is about, exploring different options. And had I not received a liberal arts education, I wouldn't have been able to be successful in all of those different opportunities, as well as moving up in the ladder each place I went. So definitely liberal arts education can help you think outside the box, help you find out what you want to do by exploring a little bit of everything. Over to Billings, Montana. So we are located, like I said, in Billings. So it's the largest city here in Montana, which by California standards, that's not saying much. The metropolitan area of Billings represents about 167,000 people. So that is considered the largest area here. So we're the central hub of the state, which means anything and everything you would need is more than likely located here, right in Billings, Montana. Even things like the tallest building in the state are located here in Billings. We have the largest hospital corridor, the only hospital corridor in the state as well. So those biology, those medical majors, those human performance majors are going to have a load of opportunities to explore at the hospitals, which are about 5 minutes down the street. Like I mentioned, our aviation program is housed just 5 minutes from campus at Billings International Airport. So it's a Class C airspace, and they're operating with major airlines like Alaska and United and Delta and American day in and day out, and they're bumping elbows with those types of environments. We are often called the Big Sky Country. So as you can see there on that picture, miles of blue skies, much different from what you guys are used to there. Probably even more so now with all the fires, but often we have lots of space to spread out, which is one thing I really enjoyed when I moved here, is the ability to get to know people, but then also find a place of the state where I could call my own and get away when I needed to, which is something I've always enjoyed. So why Rocky Mount College? I pose that to why any other school, why college in general. There's over 3,000 colleges and universities in the country right now. And they're all have their own stories and their own strengths. And right now we have our own struggles. And I see that to say that there are no bad schools out there. There's only bad fits. I told you my story about going to a large university in Southern California, and I recognized that it was just a bad fit for me. It wasn't a bad school. It was a great school for a lot of people. I just wasn't one of those. And I wish I had visited before and I probably would have known that. So our goal here in admissions is to help you find that school, to give you as much information as possible, to find that good fit. Much like buying a house or even sometimes a pair of jeans, you've got to find a good fit. You've got to try them on. You've got to step foot on campus. If you're buying a house, you got to go walk the rooms and walk the floors to get a feel of what it's like. And that's college is a lot like that. It's a great investment, but one you should take serious and consider visiting as well. So some facts about Rocky Mount College. So on average, we offer about $24,000 in financial aid every year. It's actually, when students graduate at Rocky Mount College, they graduate with the least amount of debt out of any college here in the state of Montana. I know for myself, it was actually cheaper for me to leave California than it was to stay in California. So things like taxes or insurance, just little things tend to nickel and dime you, just don't exist here in Montana. We don't even have sales tax. So your California dollars will go a lot further. 88% of our students get and obtain an internship. So students are able to find jobs or places where they can explore their interest and determine if it's a good fit. I would argue a lot that this should be 100% because there's actually only 2 majors that we do not require an internship in. That's going to be our aviation program and our education program. So those students have experience learning throughout their 4 years while they're here. So our aviation majors, they're actually flying 3 days a week in one of our 11 planes up at the hangars. And our education majors are actually doing in-class practicums or in-class teaching at some of the local high schools around Billings. So they're constantly in their field well before they graduate. So they don't necessarily need an internship to discover whether or not it's a good fit for them. A top 10 best value for this portion of the country. So interesting enough, we were actually classified or reclassified as a university just a couple of years ago. We introduced our first doctorate program, the Doctorate of Occupational Therapy. And that moved us from the rankings of a college to the rankings of a university. So we're actually compared on the same scale as colleges like Gonzaga and sometimes even UC Davis because of our ability to have master's and doctorate degrees. 98% placement upon graduation. That's really important. Everyone goes to college to ultimately get a job after they graduate. And based in where we're at here in Montana, we do a really great job of placing students. Just last month, Billings was voted to be one of the best places for a millennial to move because of the job opportunities here in Billings. And then 90% placement rate into medical schools. So again, we're doing a really great job of preparing our students for those tests and the curriculum that they need to take in order to be successful in medical school. Some of our academics, so we offer over 50 majors in 37 different minors, lots of different pre-professional programs. So we're going to prepare you for the career you want to go into. So whether it's law or athletic training or dentistry even, you're going to have the opportunity to not only prepare, but also do internships and be next to those professionals in those fields to identify what you need to do to be successful. For instance, we just created a 3-2 program with the University of Montana for our law program. So students will do 3 years here at Montana, or excuse me, in Rocky Mount College. Once they finish that, they'll head to University of Montana, finish their undergraduate, and start their master's and graduate degree in law and be able to graduate in 5 years with a law degree versus the traditional sometimes 6 or 7. Which is pretty awesome. So it's an area of Montana where we've really tried to strengthen is those relationships between some of the other schools where we can help them and they can help us. It just says a lot about Montana in general. So as I mentioned, Rocky Mount College is a small school. It's not for everyone, but for the schools and the students that are looking for a small school, I think we're a great fit. Average class size of 14. I distinctly remember my senior year in aviation safety talking about and with my professor about a recent airplane crash that had happened, I think it's down in Colorado. And we had just a genuine conversation with me and the 3 other students that were in the classroom, just having a conversation about what had happened, sharing ideas, sharing different opinions. And that I really enjoyed is the opportunity to, if you will, rub elbows with those professors that have lived and breathed those industries. At the time, that aviation safety professor was an aviation mechanic for the Air Force for 25, 30 years in Minot, North Dakota. So now he was here teaching and giving us his knowledge, which was awesome. Teacher-student ratio, again, just speaks volumes that we have the ability to give you that one-on-one attention that you need. With only 1,000 students, there's enough professors to go around. You're often able to not only find your professor, but sometimes have lunch with them. I distinctly remember having lunch with my accounting professor oftentimes just to hang out. And you get to build those relationships that to this day here, I've graduated 9 years ago, and I still have great relationships with those folks. When you come to college, there's going to be a multitude of things that are different. We provide support systems in that area. So students are able to take access to peer mentoring groups. So students who were just in your shoes a year, 2 years before that, they're able to give you an idea of what you need to do. So if you need to know when and where to register for classes, if they can show you where the cafeteria is, or you need to know who Diane Capron is over in the business office and know how to validate, they can point you in that direction. So we have people here to make sure that each student is successful, and we do a great job of that. One thing that we also offer is free tutoring. So that it comes at no cost to any students here. So Thursday through Sunday, they offer tutoring for 2.5, 3 hours a day in almost every subject. If there's a subject that you say you need help in and we don't offer it, they're going to go find a student who's willing to give help, and they're going to pay that tutor, and that's free of charge to you. So just another example of how we're always going to give you our best because we can give you our best. Transformational learning, something that I really enjoyed while I was here was the ability to get out, go to Yellowstone National Park as a geology major and test the water and work with the wildlife rangers there. Or as I mentioned a few times, go out and fly 3 days a week in the mountain regions of the Northern Rockies, which is an awesome flying experience. Or just getting involved in your community. Because we're a small school in a relatively small area, people know about the students from Rocky Mount College and often are seeking our help to come and assist them with various activities throughout the community. So it's very easy to get involved, and we often encourage it. During the first week, all of our freshmen and first year students have a few options, different activities they can take part in. One of them is community service and building peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for students that can't have lunches. And they do that every year. Actually, right now they do it every Thursday. They go out and build sandwiches for students. Or they're going to take a whitewater rafting trip down the Yellowstone River, which is pretty neat. The Yellowstone is probably 10 minutes from our campus. You can go float the Yellowstone River, which is an awesome experience. So as I mentioned, obviously you guys are a majority of you are doing either online or some version of an online experience for your senior year, and that can be tough. But now you would transition to, say, a place like Rocky Mount College, where we are doing traditional in-person learning. 85 to 90% of our classes are in person with obviously some modifications, but because of the size of our school, we're able to maintain that pretty confidently for the rest of the year. Moving into when you don't have classes, what are you going to do? What do you do with the rest of your day? I spoke with a student yesterday who had no classes after 11:30 every day of the week, Monday through Friday, not a single class, which is pretty neat. And he found himself exploring a lot of different opportunities, whether it's outdoor rec, getting involved with a different club, things he had never even thought about. He was able to do because now his schedule just allows for it. So some of the things we offer are pretty neat here at the college. Outdoor rec. So Montana in itself is built on outdoors. We're built on the ability to get away from the rat race, if you will, and we take a lot of pride in that. So we actually have an entire department dedicated to renting out equipment for students to go hiking and backpacking and camping and skiing. So a kid like myself who had never experienced snow before I was 18 or had never been camping before, I walk into this room and the guy says, all right, what size shoe are you? What size shirt do you wear? What size pants do you wear? And he's able to outfit me from boots, socks, pants, all the way up to a beanie to go camping. And I got to experience my first camping trip without spending a dime, which was an awesome experience. And that's, again, another example of how you're always going to get our best. Clubs, organizations, due to the size of our school, clubs and organizations are constantly shifting. So they tend to take on the personality of the student body we have at the time. So there's a few clubs and organizations that are standard here, but for the most part, they're changing. We recently acquired a gun club, something that we've never had before, but in Montana, it's pretty normal. And a student realized we didn't have one, and he went to our AS RMC, our student body government, and created that environment for students to partake in their practice gun range. Students are able to, like I said, do volunteer activities and opportunities in the community. They perform in our choirs and our ensembles. Students study abroad. So I bring up the example of a gal I knew while I was here. She was from White Sulphur Springs, Montana, a very small community, so small they didn't have traffic lights. So they would actually come to Billings, and when they did their driving tests, it was a big deal for them to be in a place with an actual traffic stoplight. So she went out and she went to Ireland for a fall semester to study abroad her junior year. She was a business major, never thought she'd go to Ireland or even leave Montana, and she was able to do that. And we had never been, Rocky Mountain College had never been to Ireland or Belfast, Ireland before, but because she wanted to do it, we made sure to make it happen. And she was able to do that. The very next summer, she went to Australia to do a work study program, which was just an amazing opportunity itself. So in less than a year, she was able to go to completely different opposite ends of the globe and see two very different life experiences, all because Rocky Mountain College paved that way for her to do that, which was just, again, an awesome experience. Recently, we've taken on, and this one's taken a little bit of a backseat due to COVID, but we will now start doing not necessarily study abroad programs, but they're more likely study domestic programs. So if you want to say, go to Mississippi and study their education down there, you would do that as a study abroad program, and you would go there for a semester and then come back to Rocky Mount College. So that one was just getting legs right before COVID happened. So we're still in the building phases of that, but that's likely to be up next semester. ASRMC is our student body government, so you can get involved in representing the students that are here on campus. Athletics, so we participate in 17 varsity sports in both two different conferences, Frontier Conference and the Cascade Conferences. We participate against schools, all the schools in Montana, and then there's a few schools in Oregon and in Idaho as well. We're in the NAIA, which is a smaller division for schools like ourselves where they have less than about 25 or 3,000 students. So we're competing against schools in similar size to us. We are nationally ranked year in, year out in every sport that we participate in. Over the last 5 years, we've had, or last 10 years, we have 5 national champions. Our football team participates in the Frontier Conference, so they actually compete against schools like Southern Oregon, Eastern Oregon University, College of Idaho. Some of you may be familiar with those schools. And then all the schools in Montana as well. They do really well every year, year in, year out. Our soccer team participates in the Cascade Conference, so they participate and compete against schools in, say, North Dakota, Idaho, and Oregon as well. Last year, our girls soccer team did an amazing job, made it to the Sweet 16 over in Florida, where they competed, just missing out on going into the Elite Eight. Our ski team, so we do competitive downhill skiing, which some of you may do already. I know we've had a couple kids from the state line from Northern California that have competed on our ski team. They've done really well. They are, again, easily one of the best teams in the country. They consistently are number 1 or number 2 every year in downhill slalom and skiing. Financial aid. So this is an important piece and one I'd like to take a little more time at. Rocky Mount College truly, truly believes that financial aid is a partnership. With everyone's assistance, the student, the parent, and the college, we can make it an affordable option for you, which means everyone's got to pull their weight. It's the only way that anything truly happens anywhere is that you've got to pull your weight. And this is an example of that. So something we take to heart and something we do truly believe in. I'll leave this one up for a little bit. These are our actual real costs for this past year. So just over $30,000 for the full tuition, 12 to 19 credits. I like to point that out because that means that you can get one major and pay the same amount, or you can get 3 different majors and pay the same amount. We don't charge by credit. We don't charge by major. We just charge a flat rate fee for tuition. So you can double major in business and education, or art and music, or business and accounting, and pay the same amount, even if you added on minors onto that. The fees there, $610, those are flat rate fees. So for instance, we don't have any parking fees for any students. We don't have laundry fees. All the laundry on campus is free. Internet, printing, copying, those are all free services provided to the student. So once you're here and you pay your bill, it is truly a carte blanche, or all expenses paid, if you will, experience where you're not having to constantly come up with money throughout the year. Those next estimated costs are just that, they're estimated. Anytime Rocky Mount College puts out any quote of any amount of money, we always err on the high end of things. So for instance, the room and the meal plan you see here are for our Cadillac package. So the room is a double room, so you and one other person, and they have their own bathroom, their own kitchenette, their own microwave, their own mini fridge in the room with you. So again, that's the most expensive option. The meal plan there is an all-you-can-eat meal plan. Most of our athletes take advantage of this, but it is a great option for students who just want to make sure they have 3 square meals a day and be able to access the cafeteria for things like a bagel or a sandwich in between meals. This is that price for the year. So just a shy of $40,000 for the full year. Again, that is the sticker price. If you compare that against their average financial aid award of $24,000, that price drops significantly. So again, I urge you, for any college you're looking at, not to be surprised by the sticker price, but more importantly, to ask what the average financial aid award package is, and more importantly, what financial aid do you qualify for. Books there, again, we're erring on the high side of $1,300. As a student myself, I don't think I paid more than $200, maybe $300 per semester for books. Even more so now, there's more options for renting books, for finding books online. I know I even spoke with a business professor over the summer last year. She found a website where her book that she was using has been converted online, and students are able to access that book without actually printing off every page, or they can just bookmark it and keep it whenever they need it. So they don't need to buy a book. So there's lots more of those classes and those options popping up, which is good. It keeps the price down for you students. So on every, I think it's every website mandated by the federal government, we have to have some version of this tool. So this is a price estimator that allows you, the family, to explore how affordable a college may be on the surface level. So this doesn't take into account the FAFSA once you complete it. This is all information that you would put in. But for instance, you go to our website, you find the net price calculator on Rocky Mount College's website, and then you fill it out. It's exactly what it looks like. So there's no specific profile you need to create. You just fill in information that you believe to be as true, and it'll spit out what your estimated net price after loans and work study might be. So for this example, it's $8,800. Again, we always err on the side of more expensive. So this is about probably on the higher end for the year. That does take into account merit scholarships, financial aid that students might qualify for, and even work study as well. Applying for financial aid. So tomorrow, this is great timing. Tomorrow is the first day you can complete the FAFSA for the new school year, 2021-2022. So if you haven't already done so, or you haven't talked about it with your family, I would recommend sitting down and having that conversation. We always recommend completing it for that first year if you don't already have a student in college, because you never know what the schools might offer you. It is differing for each college. The FAFSA does take into account prior years' tax return information. So this upcoming year, it'll use 2019's tax information, but you'll create an account, you'll complete the application. It is a free application, so make sure that you're not going to a .com website, but it should be a .gov website. And you'll submit that to any schools you either have been accepted to or that you want to know more information about. So some may say, what is the FAFSA? It's a free application for federal student aid. So as I mentioned before, it is free, and it is just that. It's an application. It does not guarantee you will qualify for any specific aid, but it is an application that you send out to the schools, so the schools can tell you which aid you qualify for. There's generically 3 different types of aid you can qualify for. Federal loans, so those are your typical quote unquote student loans. The first year, as a first year student, you can qualify for no more then $5,500 of student loans as a maximum. There are some caveats in there with the Parent Plus loan, and if, say, your parents are denied, you can qualify for a little bit more, but no more than $5,500 for the initial qualification of student loans. Federal grants. So these are funds that are given to you by the federal government that do not have to be paid back. They are free, and you do not need to pay them back. And then lastly, federal work study money. So I'll get a lot of questions about this. I always think of it as a pot, if you will, of money. So if you qualify for federal work study, the government puts money in a pot with your name on it as you work at the college. So if you work at the admissions office giving tours, or you work in the central operations or a mailroom, the hours you work, they will pull money out of that pot with your name on it. They will pay you from that pot, just like you would a normal job. So you can make up to $3,000 per year on or from that work study money. That's about 10 hours, 15 hours a week for the year for most students. Students who are athletes typically don't utilize all that money in a year, so they may stay over the summer during conditioning or working out, and they'll utilize that ability to work on campus and get a discounted housing expense as well. So as I mentioned, make sure you go to FAFSA.gov. It should be a Gov website. There are some sites out there that will try and charge you, but in the name, it is a free application, so make sure you're doing a .gov website. You'll create your ID and a password. You want to keep those because every year you complete the FAFSA, you'll need to utilize that ID and that password. And then if you haven't already, please code in RMC, Rocky Mount College, our code there, 002534. So there are some additional scholarships we offer. Special talent, i.e. athletic scholarships that we offer. Those also include esports scholarships as well. So we do have an esport club that was started by a student who realized that we didn't have that and we were missing that aspect of college. So it was started, and now we offer scholarships for it. The RMC Promise Scholarship, which I'll go over here in a little bit. Aviation specific scholarships, which are available to you. You're starting your sophomore year. And we also have music scholarships as well. So for our first year students, you can actually qualify for $9,000 up to $17,000 in merit scholarship money. So this is a scholarship that is given to you as soon as you're accepted based on your transcripts. And if you have them, your ACT or SAT scores will get you $9,000 to $17,000. That's renewable every year. It's yours as long as you maintain academic eligibility of a 2.0 or better. It is your scholarship. There is no additional work that needs to be done to maintain that. And then transfers, if there are any out there, those qualify for $5,000 to $12,000. Same deal. You don't have to reapply for it every year. You have to accept it every year. I'll go back. I didn't mention the RMC Promise Scholarship. So this is a new one this year. It actually is a unique scholarship in that it will cover the remaining cost of attendance after your scholarships and your student loan. So if you don't take out any student loans, it will cover up to $2,500 of your tuition for the year. So a really nice scholarship. You have to have at least a 3.4 or better, and you have to be qualified for the Pell Grant through the FAFSA. So again, I always recommend completing the FAFSA because there are some scholarships like this that you can qualify for that are not necessarily based on the FAFSA. So hopefully that all makes sense. So as far as next steps, if you haven't already, I'd recommend applying. Our application right now is free. It's extremely simple. It'll take you all about 15 or 20 minutes to do so. I've had students actually fill it out while I was on the phone talking with them about the application, just how simple it is. Once you do that, you'll want to send us over your transcripts. We need at least your freshman through your junior year to be on there. If you happen to attend a college or get dual credit, you can send those transcripts over as well. If you haven't taken the ACT or SAT, that's all right. We've gone test optional like a lot of schools around have, and it won't affect your admission or your merit scholarship eligibility. So no worries there. And then like I mentioned, the FAFSA opens tomorrow. So if you haven't already, log in, create an account tomorrow. Starting tomorrow, you can submit that for the new school year. Once you come out and visit and we talk about financial aid and you understand if Rocky Mount College is a good fit for you, we recommend making that new student deposit of $250. That will reserve your spot here at the college. It'll also ensure that we can get you your housing application and enrollment forms first. You'll be one of the first to get those, which means you get your first crack at which housing you'd like to stay in. Right now, first year students, again, free application, fill that out, transcripts, and then if you decide to send in your ACT or SAT scores, then that's what we would need as well to get that admission. And again, as little as 2 weeks. Transfer, same deal, application, any transcripts from any previously attended colleges. If you have less than 27 transferable credits and you are a transfer, you've already graduated high school, we will also need to see your high school information as well. Here's our contact information if you folks have any questions. Seeing that you are all from California, I will actually be your personal admissions counselor. So if you have any questions, you can get in touch with me. Again, my name is Sean Coleman, and I'd be happy to work with you folks and see how I can help you to discover if Rocky Mount College is a good fit. I'm going to check out the chat now and see if there are any questions that I can answer. So feel free to pop in, pretty informal. I've got a couple more minutes here. I don't see any questions up yet, but I am happy to answer them for you. Question came in, what are all the places you can study abroad? The list is nearly endless. So there are places that students often go. For instance, Ireland, Australia, South America. But every year there's a new place added to that list because the student hasn't been there before and they'd like to go. So we make the arrangements, we make the connections, and we're sure to get the students there. Is biochemistry offered as a major? So not a specific, like a singular major as biochemistry, but students often double major, which essentially is what that degree is a double major in biology and chemistry. Good question. I will say, since you folks are all out of state, we do not have out of state tuition. So because we're a private school, tuition will be the same for you as well as anyone who graduated in the state of Montana. So that's nice knowing you guys will be treated the same, no issues there. So again, I urge you to fill out the FAFSA and we can talk about financial aid more in depth about your specific financial situation. Any other questions? Well, I appreciate you folks joining. I wish you to have a good evening, And let me know if you guys have any questions. Feel free to reach out.
All right, thank you so much,
right.
Sean, for the presentation, and thanks to all the students for joining us. When you close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey. We'd appreciate any feedback you can provide. This was just one of many sessions being hosted, so be sure to sign up for additional sessions at college2careerfairsconnect.org. In about a week, you'll be able to find this session's recording as well as any of the other session recordings at college2careerfairsconnect.org. All right, thanks very much, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you.